water.
It's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions.
What is going on, Raptors Nation? Welcome back to the Raptors Nation podcast, coming to you every Thursday, as you can find this podcast on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. In today's show, I wanted to talk about the Raptors' remaining schedule, how it can pose a threat to the Raptors' lottery odds, and then at the end of the show, I want to talk about a pretty crazy rumor that had a lot of speculation come from it. But before we dive right into it, do me a solid, guys. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button for more Raptors content just like this. So, of course, the reality for the Raptors is right now they are a bottom 5 team. They have the 5th worst record in the NBA with 23 games left on their season. They're looking ahead to the draft lottery. Bobby Webster, Raptors GM, made that clear. And this team, they look to potentially make that leap next season. They have their sights on becoming a competitive team for next season, just given how they position themselves with the Brandon Ingram trade. Maybe the Raptors could have a Detroit Pistons-like leap next season. The cards are lining up, certainly, but the Raptors, they got to get through this season still. And they got to try to still position themselves the best they can to try to land one of those top picks. Because at this point, if the Raptors are able to add a top talent to their current group of players, they're going to be cooking. They're going to be in a really good position. But the tricky part is the Raptors' remaining schedule is the easiest remaining schedule out of all the NBA teams the rest of the way. So what is crazy to even think is the fact that the Raptors, they could very well end up being a bottom team, but they could easily end up becoming a play-in team if they get hot at the right time and if they rack up wins. Because right now, the East is a complete disaster. Nobody wants that 10th and final play-in spot, it seems. Whoever gets that play-in spot, they might be a team that wins less than 30 games with how things are looking. I mean, the 76ers are going the other way. I would not be surprised if they just shut down Embiid and they say, we're going to try to tank the rest of the way. I mean, they should do that because they are not a good team at all right now. The Chicago Bulls, they're in the mix of a team that probably wants to try to be in the bottom. The Raptors play them next. You got the Nets, who have been winning some games as of late, but they're still going to want to position themselves. So the Eastern Conference, I mean, it is terrible right now at the bottom. And I'm very interested to see who's going to end up getting that 10 spot. Right now, it's occupied by the Bulls, who, by the way, the Raptors play the Bulls next, like I just said. And right now, the Raptors, they are 5 games back of the Bulls. So, guys, if the Raptors beat the Bulls on Friday night, they're going to inch even closer to a play-in spot. And the Nets, the Sixers, they're 11th and 12th respectively. I don't see them marching on up. I thought the 76ers were going to be that team to really take the reins and try to get that 10th spot. But I'm starting to think, yeah, the Sixers are going the other way. So then you got the Raptors 13th, Hornets are dead in the water at 14th, and the Wizards are 15th. That's just looking at the Eastern Conference standings. So I am going to be very worried if the Raptors end up winning against the Bulls. Scotty Barnes is questionable. It's going to be very interesting to see if the Raptors decide to play him or give him another night off to kind of, rest up. And Jakob Poeltl, we don't know what his status is going to be for that game. But yeah, if the Raptors win that game, then they would be within striking distance of a play-in spot with then 22 games left, and we're about to look at their schedule. It's going to be interesting to see how these tank wars are going to develop, because the Raptors, they're going to have to enter a new gear of being bad if they want to lose more than they win the rest of the way. And the biggest thing for this Raptors team is going to be who's available. Like Scotty Barnes, he's got a hip contusion right now. He missed last game, might even miss next game. But I don't suspect he'll be out for long, because remember, like Scotty, he still has a lot to play for personally. He's trying to go for that All-NBA. It's already a long shot just given the Raptors' record. but there's still technically a chance, right? And if Scotty misses a few more games, he's going to be ineligible for that, especially if he misses Friday's game. So, Scotty personally wants to go out there and put his best foot forward, because if other guys get injured and if Scotty ends this season strongly and the Raptors win, maybe there's a case to be made for an All-NBA spot. Again, it's highly unlikely at this juncture of the season, but for Scotty's perspective, he wants to go for it. Why wouldn't he? That's extra money in his pocket because, of course, that contract rises if he makes All-NBA. So he's got a lot to play for. So as long as Scotty's out there, he's not going to want to stop. He's not going to want to tank. He already said, to help with your tank, I think it was Josh Lewinberg or Michael Grange who asked him, he doesn't care about that. He's looking at the standings. He wants to win. And of course, this is a young group that wants to win. And I made a comment on X, the Raptors management might want to pack it in and tank. I think they made that clear with Bobby Webster's comments, but the players certainly don't, especially when they looked very competitive against the Boston Celtics and even against Indiana. I mean, they were down and out, but they did fight back a bit in that fourth. And if Scotty plays in that game with Poeltl, they probably could end up winning that game. So basically, if Scotty Barnes is healthy with Poeltl, with a healthy barbecue, even without Ingram, I'm not even talking about Ingram being in the mix here, just call it healthy barbecue with Jakob Poeltl, the Raptors are going to be much better than the teams they're about to take on. So that is going to be an issue, in essence, for a team that should try to position themselves, should try to remain in the bottom, because the last thing you want if you're a Raptors fan is for this team to go the other way and get a play-in spot. Because, it would be cool and fun and all that, but you do not want to throw away what you have right now, and that is, given the odds, hopefully the ping pong balls fall your way. Right now would be a number 5 pick, and potentially you could go up if you get some luck on your side. So that's the dilemma here. It's the Raptors, it makes sense for them to tank and lose the rest of the way, but are they going to be bad enough to be able to tank and lose the rest of the way? Especially when you got Scotty wanting to come back for that All-NBA opportunity, barbecue, Bear's been playing well, quickly, and Poeltl, Rakovic said he's going to come back soon, so I don't think they can milk that any longer. And Brandon Ingram, we still don't know what his situation is. Could he be back? Possibly. There's a situation, possibility where he doesn't play at all this season. I still do think we'll probably see Ingram for a few games, but right now the Raptors are monitoring him bi-weekly, so we don't know how long that will be. Again, it could be for the remainder of the season, but as long as Barbecue's out there with Barnes, I think this team's gonna have a shot. So that's then gonna ask the question: how can the Raptors strategically tank? And are we gonna see a situation where they give guys nights off? And if Scotty is then ineligible for All NBA, they're gonna say, okay, we can sit you out a few games, or are they gonna try to, sit out RJ and quickly and kind of stagger how those guys play together? And of course, we're going to see a lot of the young guys. We have seen that already. But talking about Barbecue and Poeltl, I don't think the Raptors can continue to sit out Poeltl. They're probably milking it for what it is at this point. But, when he comes back into the mix, the Raptors are going to be a better team with him. So although it seems like it's done, this season, and it's a matter of, let's hurry up and see these games come to an end because, we want to move on to next season. There's a lot of intrigue to close out the season just because of how many bad teams the Raptors play. So let's look at their schedule. They got the Bulls on Friday night. They could very well win that game. Then they got the Magic. Those are probably the two remaining toughest teams they got to play on this thing. And then you got the Jazz, the Wizards, the Sixers, who the Raptors just beat, the Jazz, the Blazers. So, these are literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row the Raptors could potentially win. And then the Suns, who knows what the Suns are going to look like at that point. The Raptors just beat the Suns, so this is a winnable game. That's the Warriors are good now, so we'll chalk this up as an L. But right now, after that Orlando stretch, there's literally one L that you feel good about, and that's the one against the Warriors. All these other games, they could very well win. The Spurs would have been a difficult team, but of course, Wemby's done for the season, so now they're beatable. They become a winnable game. The Wizards, the Nets, the Hornets, the Sixers again, the Bulls. What are the Bulls going to look like at this point? The Blazers, the Pistons, okay, we'll chalk this up as an L because the Pistons are good now and they want to be a top 6 team. The Nets, the Hornets, the Mavericks. At this point, where are the Mavericks going to be? They could be very well out of it, and if they don't get key center, some of their key big men back, and if AD doesn't come back. So this could be a nothing game for the Mavericks. And then the Spurs. So like literally, I just went through the schedule with you guys, and there's 2 games where you're like, yeah, those are L's. Every other game is winnable for this Raptors team. Like, that is unbelievable. Like, those 2 games are the Warriors and Pistons. Every other team and game, the Raptors are going to have a chance to win. Again, this is outside of this weekend stretch where you got the Bulls, Magic, and then the Tuesday game against the Magic again. From March 7th and on, there's 2 games where you feel comfortable in it being an L, the Warriors and Pistons. Every other game, the Raptors can very well win. So that is crazy. And after the next 3 games, they're going to have 20 games left. Just to chalk it up into like simpler terms here, in the last 20 Raptors games, guys, they're going to have the Wizards 3 times, the Spurs twice, the Jazz twice, the Hornets twice, the Sixers twice, the Blazers twice. That is crazy. And as a fan who wants to see this team bottom out and potentially even try to get to that 4 spot, I don't think you're going to get to the bottom 4. That is not what you want to see. Like, at this point, just looking at the tankathon and where the Raptors are at, I think best case scenario is the Raptors just remain where they're at with the 5th worst record. But then if you get into a situation where they're winning and they're going the other way, and all of a sudden the Nets pass them, the Sixers pass them, and then you're falling into that play-in category, man, that is not going to be an ideal situation. So what's fascinating about the rest of this Raptors season is again, like, just to repeat myself, is for as much as they can go the other way of bottoming out and kind of maintaining that 5th worst record, they could very well wind up being a play-in team. It is not crazy to think if they beat the Bulls on Friday and then you look at the rest of their schedule, if they play Barbecue and Pirtle, the Raptors might mess around and wind up a play-in team, all without Brandon Ingram. So that is crazy, and we're probably going to see the Raptors have to get creative if they still have the lottery on their minds, which I believe they still do, of how can we be bad when we got to go up against the terrible teams that are the Wizards of the world, the Jazz of the world, the Hornets of the world. So it was always going to, I feel, come down to this when looking at the Raptors schedule, because like when we broke down the schedule at the start of the season, you saw how bad that opening part of the schedule was, the gauntlet, and then that was easy to justify. Okay, this could be another lost season. The Raptors are going to be able to get a top pick when you talk about like those top 3 talents that have been highly touted of Cooper Flagg, Harper, Bailey. But then it was always going to be an issue when you got to the end part of the season. And we're now in the end part of the season. So we're going to finally see if this is going to in fact be an issue. So I think for right now, like, it's going to be, you're going to need luck to get into the bottom 3, even though I think the bottom 4. You're going to need the ping pong balls to fall your way. I don't think the Raptors can physically get themselves into that bottom 4, bottom 3, just given what's at stake, given what's in front of them with these games. So if I'm like talking how I want to see this pan out, if the Raptors can still remain a bottom 5 team after this stretch, that is a huge, huge, huge win. But if they fall and get closer to that play-in territory, like, that is going to be that's pretty good. That's going to be brutal, considering that they've already done a nice job to kind of put themselves in this position. So I think Raptors fans are starting to understand the fate. Like, you're probably not going to get a top 3 pick anymore. Like, the Cooper Flagg sweepstakes, the Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey reality kind of has died a lot. But, I mean, a 4, 5, 6, you could probably end up still getting a really good player. You know, the Duke big man has popped up a ton. Edgecombe is a player I like, but you don't want to go the other way, and all of a sudden you win. You're closer to that play-in mark. Hell, even worse, you're in the play-in, and then, you know, you squander what could have at least still been a top 5, top 6 pick. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how everything ends up, and I don't know. Like, I'm fascinated by this. I really don't know what to expect, because for as much as we know the Raptors management, they want to tank, again, how can you sit out guys? And when those guys are out there, it's a hungry team. Like Barrett, Quickly, Barnes together, they want to win. Players don't care about a tank. And I don't see the Raptors losing to these teams. I really don't. I only the only way I see the Raptors losing to these teams is if they purposely sit guys out, and I don't know if they're gonna do that. So, yeah, guys. After these next three, when you get into the last 20, man, we're gonna see some. We might see some pretty ugly basketball of the teams that are trying to out tank the other. And by default, the Raptors might end up coming away with some of those W's. So, yeah, it's going to be we'll see. We'll see how the Raptors end up looking. And also, we'll see where they end up winding up, when we get to the midway point of March. But if they win that game against the Bulls, the play-in, for as crazy as it sounds, is not going to be that far away. And I know that's a scary thought for many, myself included. So stay tuned. We'll see how this thing finishes off. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts to that. And then I wanted to end with this because, it did get a lot of attention. It's no definitive report or anything, but Joel Embiid rumors with the Raptors have kind of been running rampant, surprisingly. I don't know where this came from, but for some reason, the sports books, more specifically Bovada, has the Raptors, believe it or not, as the favorite to land Joel Embiid, if not with the Philadelphia 76ers. And when I first saw this, I'm like, what? How does that even come to be? How on earth are the Raptors of all teams, given where they're at, the favorite to land Embiid if he's not with the Sixers? You see the odds right there. The Raptors are the favorites, plus 1,500. The Hawks are next, the Rockets, and then the Suns. So, that is just crazy. And I think we just got to put to bed this rumor. I wanted to bring it up just because, I saw a lot of people talking about it, particularly online. But Embiid of the Raptors, it just doesn't make sense. And I could understand maybe why the Raptors are where they're at, just given, with their odds, given Masai Ujiri's track record. Masai, he always seems to be in the running for a superstar, it seems, every single summer. It was KD one summer, then Damian Lillard, and this might be the summer of Joel Embiid. And Masai's name always seems to pop up when there's a disgruntled, injury-prone superstar that could potentially become available. Kawhi, BI, who they just got, and now Embiid's the next one. So I get the correlation, but I didn't think the Raptors were going to trade for Brandon Ingram. So again, expect the unexpected, but I don't see this at all. I think this is just a complete non-story, and I don't think it would be in the Raptors' best interest to get Embiid. Unfortunately, I think Embiid's best days are behind him. I see it just being a rough patch for him from here on out. He's not the player he used to be. I don't know what to expect from him at this point. And when you look at what he's projected to make, it scares me. $55 million in 2025, 2026. He's on the books for 59 million 2026, 2027, 64 million in 2027, 2028, and then 69 million in 2028, 2029. He's going to be 35 at that point? I don't think Embiid's going to be able to play at a high level for more than a season or two with the way things are going. Maybe if they shut him down, he gets the knee surgery, he's a new man, but he does not look like that MVP Joel Embiid that we saw not too long ago. So for the Raptors to take a flyer on this, it seems highly unlikely, and nor would I be interested. You're talking about an injury-prone player who I believe his best days are behind him, and there's just so many question marks with him. And for the Raptors, what would they even have to give up? What would the Sixers want for Embiid? And would the Raptors be willing to part ways with that? To make the salary work, you would have to include Emmanuel Quickley or Barrett with a Jakob Poeltl and then probably a boatload of picks. And that's even if the Sixers want that. And for the Raptors, you're obviously not trading Scotty. You're obviously not trading BI. So again, yeah, it would be one of IQ Barrett from the Raptors' perspective and Poeltl plus picks. But again, would you really want to fork away future picks for a guy who might be done after next season or even after this season, like we don't know where Embiid's headed. And really, this is a guy who has not looked good, even dating back to the Olympics. He didn't look good with Team USA, has been a shell of himself this season, even when he was on the court. So, yeah, I think this is just to get headlines, to get clicks, and I have no idea what the rationale is behind this, that the Raptors would be the favorites to get him, according to sportsbooks, other than if the sports books are just going with a narrative like, yeah, Masai's that guy that takes a chance on disgruntled, injury-prone guys, and this would be another example of that. But yeah, I just don't see the Raptors going this route. I mean, they got Pirtle for now. Given where they're at, they're probably gonna maybe end up drafting a big. They got Chomchi. Like, you're not the Raptors. I don't think it would make much sense for them to mortgage away their future for Embiid when you don't know how Embiid's gonna look from here on out. So I guess it's fun hypothetical, but let me know. Are there people out there that want Joel Embiid? I mean, if Masai really wants to go for it and he feels like this team is like that close to a championship, yeah, maybe you go all in again to get a superstar, and then in hopes of competing for a championship next season and beyond. But I don't see the Raptors making this aggressive of a move. At least like with BI, he's got injury concerns, but he's 27. Embiid, like what is he right now? He's like, I believe he's 31. No, he's 30, but he'll be 31 next season. So again, yeah, like there's that. There's just his knee issue. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of uncertainties with him. So yeah, I don't think this is something that will happen. But then again, the Raptors, they are always involved when a superstar becomes available. So don't be surprised if this summer ends up being the summer of Embiid with linked to the Raptors. Because like I said before, it was Lillard, KD, and it might be Embiid this time around. So the Raptors, never a stranger to rumors when it comes to big-time names out there that could potentially be dealt and moved. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys, when it comes to the Embiid stuff. But also let me know what you think of the Raptors' remaining schedule. Do you think the Raptors are going to wind up a playing team? Or do you think they're going to do enough to lose and kind of maintain their position? Let me know your thoughts, guys. Drop a comment down below. Drop a like on the video as well. Smash the subscribe button for more pods just like this, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Again, Apple, iTunes, and Spotify. And lastly, go and follow me on X at Luca Rosano 3, as the Raptors will take on the Bulls on Friday night as their season comes to an end. But as I just presented to you a minute ago, there's still a lot at stake in terms of where this team is headed and which direction they're going to be going in. That is it for me, guys. Luca signing off. Until next time, stay safe.